incredible. The matches are going to be insane, and I know I'm excited. Anaheim is always just a marvelous time.
And speaking of open events in general, at the most recent one, Seattle, this EnVy roster, they ended up getting top 12, which top 12 for a team of this caliber, it seems bad, but it's kind of like that FaZe syndrome, where FaZe consistently placed in top 12, but then they proved, like at playoffs, they're capable of winning. And that's kind of how I feel about EnVy, of like, yes, they could get top 12, but at their best, they could definitely win. The question is are they at their best now? And again, as tough of a matchup as you're going to get in this division, Red Reserve has been swinging so far.
Well, we are going to kick it off with Hook. Statistically speaking, he has been one of the top players throughout Stage 2. I know it's only a couple of weeks in, but he's sitting around like a 1.24 overall. He's been lights out when you're just talking about the slaying category, and they open it up. EnVy's going to get inside behind 3 kills in a row for Decimate. They've now got ventilation room locked down. We'll see if Red can work on this break. They have a split spawn.
And I will say it's a small thing, but Decimate has been doing this quite a bit, where you see he has the infantry perk, or whatever it's called in this game, I can't even remember, just to make sure that he can run extended mags. There's a handful of players, divisions, there you go, handful of players that run extended mags, and especially on a map like Valkyrie, I think that's a huge benefit, because he starts out with so many more bullets in the clip. You get like an extra 20, you don't have to be concerned about reloading nearly as often, especially with how tight quarters Valk is. You want to be able to, after you kill that first guy, to just pre-fire where the next ones are coming through, or you can just wallbang people, no problem. Get some streaks.
Sit here and wallbang. He only needed maybe a couple more bullets, and it's funny because Joe's able to get that kill because he finally runs out of that extended clip, but he did do a little bit of damage before dropping. Now, the hit coming in from the top side for EnVy, it's thwarted immediately by Zero and Scraps as they find a couple of kills as Red Reserve continues to try and tack on the damage. Zero on a 2 streak right now at 4 and 4. Scraps has got the window. Joe covering inside, and Joe continues to go big. He had a couple great performances. Well, honestly, a lot of great performances over the last couple of weeks. We'll see if he can have another one in this series versus EnVy.
I mean, again, Joe has been for years now just in that role where he's not playing for kills. He's not playing for the KD. He's playing for the win, and he will happily sacrifice himself for the betterment of the team. But now he's not. Now he's in the flex role. Now he needs to get kills. He can't afford to be statistically insignificant anymore, and he hasn't been. He's been incredible. He's been lights out, and you love to see it from a guy who's been ragged on, I guess, more than a lot of the European guys, including by myself, right? It's just nice to see him turn it around.
Well, now let's turn it to the storage bunker. A one-on-one gunfight goes down inside. Well, Decimate actually is able to get a couple of kills there. But Joe and Scraps, once again, able to get the entries for Red Reserve, and this lead continues to build. 65 up now. Locked down in storage bunker. Joe almost runs by a player, can't snap though, and Chino able to find the kill, but as we're sitting here in our 4th hardpoint, EnVy has only been able to find 20 points. This has been consistently dominant for Red Reserve, and I hear him getting loud.
And this has been a 2 to 3 rotation for Hills that Red Reserve just takes it. And there's quite a few maps where if you win the 2 to 3, you just kind of win the game. It's the same thing on St. Marie. It's the same thing on Gibraltar. And honestly, it's even the same thing on Forest. So that's really the key. For a lot of these hardpoint maps, Red Reserve finds success. And if Joe wins his gunfight, which he does, they're going to buy himself an extra 10 seconds. They're going to go up by 100 points as early as it can get, continuing the destruction on Valkyrie.
So heading to 4th, 22 points on the board. Inside of office, you'll see Red Reserve set up. Once again, they've got the spawns early, and the gunfights seem to be going their way. Nice long-range battle there at the PPSH for Scraps. Let's see what EnVy can do, though. Classic looking for an opening. He's greeted by Rated. Now the race is on a little bit, because Rated's going to be the one on the hard point. He's about to get pinched by multiple players. The reinforcements need to get there quickly, or Rated's just going to win all these gunfights. Finally he gets cut down, and maybe EnVy can enjoy a little bit of a setup here.
Well, they're going to need to make sure they hold true, and Duke's ready for the flank, and that's actually going to get him fully streaked out, and that's exactly what EnVy needs to get back into this game, and he's still going to watch the back. Joe's going to push him, but the nade actually connects, and now Rated, and Red Reserve are going to be able to respond. Zero picks up 2, so even in the situation where EnVy gets the win because they get fully streaked out, they still end up losing on the hill in terms of hill time. Red Reserve has extended their lead.
Well, at least next for Smokestacks, they are able to take out Rated. So EnVy trying to get set up. You have the full streaks behind Hook. Chino scares away a player with some bullets, but not able to find the kill. Now let's see what they can do now with this setup. EnVy just struggling to find any kind of consistent time. This might be where they can get it done. And you have a glide bomb too, so you have 4 streaks to work with for EnVy right now.
And this is like the only hill to really maximize it, but the issue for streaks on this map in general is in this situation, they're better for keeping your opponent out of the hill rather than like locking down the lanes, right? Because all the lanes you can essentially go inside, so the streaks are more ineffective. But again, that 2 to 3 rotation could be huge because that's where an artillery could be in huge effect. But either way, at the end of the day, huge hill for EnVy to potentially start to get back into this game, nearly a full 6.
It's big too because here you don't have to invest in it like those streaks, right? Yeah. This is a hardpoint where you would invest a lot if you had to break in, but since they had the early control, they didn't really have to worry about it. And yeah, totally agree. Big hard point for them. Chino now gets over the 1 minute mark on the hard point, also sitting at 13-9. Hook continues to have a stellar game, and he's at 17-11, but still a big deficit right now. It hasn't really been, you know, some giant lopsided slate fest for Red Reserve. No one really going off on their side. Heck, the only one positive right now is Rated, but they've had so much early control. They've been able to dominate behind that.
I mean, it literally was just that 2 to 3 rotation where they blew it open.
But a lot of times, you know, if you are getting outslayed throughout the course of it, eventually that team starts to pick it up, a lot of times because of streaks. They might get a little bit fortunate that's this map, and they won't come into play quite as much.
Well, you can already see, though, like the preference just for setting up the next hill. Joe, 35 seconds in, he's already posted up in the next hill, and he's just playing for flanks, essentially, because now Decimate's inside, and who's there to clean it up? Joe. He's been waiting for that play for 10 to 15 seconds. He's an incredibly smart player, and now EnVy, again, even though they're still outslaying their team, even on the middle hill, the most important Slayfest, the time is still split, and Red Reserve wins the rotation. Of course, these gunfights are going to be key. Traded back and forth a little bit, and EnVy's able to come out on top. And this is where you're going to want to see an artillery, to get called on the top right side of where that hill is to block off the entrance. But if they don't do it fast enough, players are going to be able to get inside. It's going to be Joe, but there you go. Clean 3 down. Zero's going to be the last one flying forward. Trying to win the gunfights. Is able to find one. Wants to go for more, but he should just get traded out. He gets team challenged. Now you want to see the fighter pilot come in. Make sure you guarantee all this time, and then you're right back in the game.
Well, Hook coming off spawn right now, still hasn't invested anything, and Decimate's getting awful close to streaks again. We saw him with that wall bang. We saw him working. I think he was in this exact same position previously, maybe a little bit earlier in the hard point. But on a 4 streak right now, streaks coming in for him. And when you think about the power behind Hook as well, this is where EnVy starts to take over this game. They're still trailing by 40 points right now, but a solid hold at bunker. And this is where they got beat up, like you talked about before, from 2 to 3. Those 2 hard points went all the way to red. Now you have a streak to use in transition. Glide bomb in. They find Rated there at mid-map. That's going to be an opening for Classic to get across. Classic takes a big one-on-one. Needs one more bullet, but Zero gets the better of him.
And I guess you could say Classic bought his team a little bit of time to rotate, and the fighter pilot's actually going to come into effect, but maybe he's able to get 2. Only 2 guys outside, and yeah, Zero's going to be able to get under cover. Tags him up a little bit, but the player that got killed by the fighter pilot, I'm assuming, yeah, just spawns right back up. So about as ineffective as it gets, you just waste it. So that's a huge streak. You get nothing out of it. Now you got to fight with just the guns, and they've been winning gunfights, but it's tough to break through in the hill. Decimate's inside, trying to win the 1v1. Comes around the back, and Joe, again, he's winning all of the huge gunfights in the hill. 14-22, but he's probably got like 6 defense.
Let's see what they can
4.
do here.
Crap.
Check it out, 4. He had way more than everybody else, though, right? Red still inside. Only 30 points needed for them to close this out. Not going to be able to win it here on Storage Bunker. You see the setup now coming in from EnVy. They haven't got a lot out of these streaks thus far. Whatever they have remaining, they're going to need to use to try and extend this game, but they're giving all this time. So you have what? The artillery and the fighter pilot on Decimate. He's going to call in the artillery right away in the bottom. That's going to force Zero inside. Unfortunately for them, Zero's able to win that gunfight. Zero actually wins a 2nd. Oh, God. Good thing he doesn't win a 3rd. Otherwise, that would have spelled disaster there for EnVy. But as it stands, EnVy's still racking up some time. Unfortunately, it's Rated on that flank that picks up a couple of kills.
And the artillery was perfect, but yeah, there's still a player that's able to sneak through. The fighter pilot's going to be able to distract Red Reserve, but there's still a player inside. Luckily, though, Classic wins that 1v1, and honestly, that 1v1 could have just been the game there for Red Reserve, so props to Classic, but they got to keep it up. They have to just massively outslay their opponents from here on out. They got to make sure the streaks are going to be perfect, but you got to win the gunfights inside the hill as well, and that Scraps is able to break through, and any little bit of time Red Reserve gets here is huge, because everyone for EnVy has to go back and fight for this.
Absolutely. You saw what, 3-4 arrows turn on their head there to try and deal with that scrap time because they could have lost the game. Now, look at the setup that you have for Red Reserve. That ends up being so huge for Red and at least getting early positioning. But here comes the artillery. These are when the streaks are going to rain in. You really only have 1 crack at this if you're EnVy. They're actually in the hardpoint. They got to go. They got to go. They got to try and make the play, but Scraps and Joe finding the opening kills. Hook going to try and do what he can. He's the last man here. Only 5 points needed now for Red. They get the clear. Yeah, it might get a second chance. They just got to storm at this. They've got to go. The contest is there. Classic's able to win a couple of gunfights. One more second now needed for Red Reserve. EnVy still contesting. They have to contest. Scraps doing everything he can. There's the final kill. And Red barely hold on. They had a big lead early in this chance. They allowed, a lot of streaks to come in for EnVy. EnVy, kind of led that slaying edge a little bit throughout the course of it. It was only about 10 kills or so. It wasn't anything major, but I think you got a little bit nervous if you're a Red fan down the stretch.
Maybe a little bit. Again, it's another slow start. The one series Red Reserve has lost so far to EG. I think we saw something similar to like this game almost, where they get about a 100-point lead, and then EG managed to come back and get those wins. I think the first time on Gibraltar, but we saw it here against EnVy. They get that 100-point lead. EnVy looks terrible, and they start to come back, but still a clean win in the end.
So what do you think's going on with EnVy? I mean, all right, so we know they started very strong in Hardpoint in Seattle. Coming into the league, they were strong in Hardpoint yet again. They started, what, 5-1, 6-1. And now they've dropped a couple of Hardpoints in a row. Is there anything standing out for you that's been a problem for them in Hardpoint?
Well, for one, I think just Valkyrie. I don't know if that was one of the better maps in Seattle, so I think the map picks for Red Reserve just went well. But ultimately for that one, it was purely just the rotation from the second to third hill. Like, I guarantee if we had the box score from that game, that third hill, EnVy maybe gets a single second, and Red Reserve had to have racked up 80, 90, 100 points just right there. And for the rest of the hills, again, EnVy played it pretty well. Like you saw, what was it? They're getting fully streaked out on the second hill. Decimate, Deja Vu did it twice on both rotations.
You had Hook fully streaked out, Decimate fully streaked out twice. I think maybe one glide bomb on another player. That might have been actually Decimate the first time through. But yeah, no, you had a lot of streaks to use. If that was a Gibraltar or even like a St. Marie, you probably would have felt pretty good about Decimate coming back. Or sorry, not Decimate, EnVy coming back just behind all the streaks. But on a map like that, not as influential. But guys, we asked you on Twitter, is Red Reserve a top 5 team in the world? We know they are newly formed. It's only been a couple weeks of gameplay, but there's a lot of hype. Let's take a look at the first tweet. They're definitely looking like one, but I still need to see more before I can say T5. Anaheim will be a great indicator of how good this team is. Hashtag CWL PS4. I think I kind of agree with that first tweet. We got to still see some, but I like what I'm seeing. Next up, false. They are definitely the best team in EU, but with so much talent in North America, they can't possibly be considered top 5. Not yet, at least.
I mean, that's extreme. Can't possibly. That might be a little bit too far. They can definitely possibly.
They're in the conversation. Yes.
Absolutely. I think at their best, top 5 without a single shred of a doubt in my mind. The problem is for them is just like inconsistency. Like especially in an open event, like depending on who they play against.
Yes, okay, that's my favorite. I was going to say the first one I liked the most because it made the most sense to me, but now that wins.
Scraps on an alternate account.
But no, back to the first tweet. Basically said we haven't seen a lot yet. I think Anaheim will be sort of where we can really mark this team, and I think I agree with that. Let's see how they do it. Kind of a major open event, but are they in the combo for top 5 very quickly? Yeah, they are.
Absolutely. I think this is a team in conversation to, I don't know if I want to say that I think they can definitively win an event yet, but I could definitely see them in some grand finals. Like, absolutely. Like, at their best is the only issue. The problem for them, again, is inconsistencies. And if they end up in the loser's bracket early, which this Red Reserve team has been prone to do time and time again, then it's luck of the draw. It depends on who you get matched up in loser's bracket, because it could just be the bracket of death down there.
It's so tough to answer this question because, we haven't really seen, I'm not counting scrims in this. We haven't really seen the new optic yet. We haven't seen the new Luminosity. I know we all have high hopes for Rise. We had the one tournament run, but winning it was enough for me that they're obviously in the top 5. But there's a lot. We have to wait for Division B too, I feel like, to see what some of these guys can do. And thankfully for us, that's right around the corner. We're talking next Tuesday. We'll get Division B in here. And I know there's after all the roster mania broke down, it's been really exciting to see how some of these teams have looked. But we still need a lot more information, I think. All right, Game 1 goes to Red Reserve. Game 2, Search and Destroy on London Docks. Offense first to Red, just checking through some of the classes on either side. Looks like Zero's hitting Underground immediately. Team following up to recall. They're hitting it fast. A lot of pressure coming to Classic almost immediately. We'll see how he deals with this. Hook, though, as Hook gets that first pick, was that from a player that hit kind of through mid-barrel? I mean, it had to have been, yes. He probably just picked him right out of barrel.
Well, this is insane. That just shouldn't happen. He got bomb planted where now, like, Red Reserve can watch it from anywhere. They can watch it from goal. They can watch it from underground. If they can wrap around and watch it from mid, like, Scraps, depending on how this round plays out, might just go and wrap and go for the flank because you see Classic near bomb. Raided's playing for formation. The problem is that they don't have any bodies. I'm going to be honest. I would try and kill all of these players right now. You have 2 right in front. Now you get away to mid. He stays alive. His teammate does fall. But again, he can watch this from anywhere. Even if this player hot bombs right away, there's a lot of angles they got to cover. He is going to get caught throwing a nade, though. The players back up, and at least one of them has armored. The opportunity was there, but the first blood goes to Envy. The next kill goes to Envy.
If he's gun up with him, how they were kind of stacked there, if he's on something, he might have been able to clutch that. That would have been what you could call like a sneak ace, like just ducked away in the corner. Would have had to find all 4 kills. I think it's a great effort from Raided. Just unfortunately awkward timing there with the nade toss.
I mean, he relying on Scraps. If Scraps just wins a single gunfight there, then because of the play Raided makes, they just win that round. I think you're right. Maybe he could have done something a little bit more, but such a tough spot.
Well, more. I mean, it's just he's flipping a coin. He's trying to probably get that nade out to check to see if anybody's on bomb. Unfortunately, they're both in his face. That's just that's a tough spot. But Scraps doing what he can. That nade should finish Chino. Chino's gone. He'll be back around 3. Raided mid-map right now. He's got right next to the water steps. Hook. Nice shots from Raided. Now a 4v2, and he gets away with his life and should be able to back him down with the nade. There's a one-on-one on the other side. Raided actually gets team killed by Joe, and 0 drops in his one-on-one. So, what seemed to be a perfect situation for Red is now quickly a 2v2 chance.
And of course, Decimate potentially on the flank here. A player's going to be mid. Joe's trying to win this gunfight. Classic tagged up. But, yeah, I think Decimate's probably the important guy on this map, right? He's going to be the one trying to make play. But there you go. Scraps actually spots him out. And this still might actually be going the way of Envy. They technically do have a little bit of control of B. The problem is they don't have the information. They don't know if Joe's going to come on the flank, which he might very well do from Cole. So it's going to be all about this timing. Is Classic going to be able to get away after he plants this bomb? And Joe's going to come over top, and he's going to say no. Decimate for the 1v2. Bomb's planted in an okay spot, except for the fact that it can get stretched. And honestly, that's just going to do it. There's 0 hope of winning this round. Scraps is looking over top. Scraps gets gunned. It doesn't even matter because of the stretch. And this is something I want to talk about, Maven.
Go, let's hear it.
The round before that, what was it? Red Reserve gets the plant where they can watch it from underground and Cole. You should never allow as Envy that bomb to get planted there, especially if they don't smoke off B cut. Granted, they still won the round, but it would have been close, and you could see the plays that like Raided was making. But when the bomb gets planted in the spot you just saw it in, much more difficult when the bomb's down to defend that. Just something to keep in mind.
All right. We'll see how these guys adapt to it over the course of the game. Now tied up 1-1. Classic, the lone man on the B side, takes a shot and backs down. He's got some help quickly from mid if needed. Decimate's getting on top boxes. If he inches his way forward, should be able to take this gunfight. Has to back down though. Looks like it might be an easy kill, but if he overextends there, probably gets tagged up by one of the teammates as well. Joe backing up on the street, and slowly but surely, it looks like they're going to have to rotate out of this. They're going to give it up. They get a pick onto Hook, and now things looking good for Red again.
Hook just getting caught out, pushed a little bit too far. Now players are actually pushed up kind of aggressive. And now Decimate's trying to make a play, but yeah, he's going to get tagged up. Scraps is going to be there for the trade, and all of a sudden, Classic in the 1v2. He's got positioning. He's got the gun for the job. And bomb's down, but it should get cleaned up pretty quickly. Now no one needs to get picked. 0 trying to lay down to stay alive. This is doable, though.
Sees his foot. Nice kill from Classic. Now in a one-on-one. Scraps has picked up the bomb. 25 seconds on the clock to work with. Scraps gets beamed, and Classic with the 1v2. With the time that was on the clock, would you have played that differently if you were Red?
Well, sort of. I would have made sure if I'm 0, as soon as I'm tagged up, I just want Scraps to go around trains quicker. I just want him to challenge the gunfight, just to protect me. Like, even if he has his sub, you know Classic's going to be eyeing down 0, at least waiting for him to stand back up, and he just needed a little bit of support. But yes, as soon as Classic is in the power position on Statue, I say we have subs. We are going to wrap this through Cole, but either way.
Yeah, what was there, like probably 35 seconds so?
35, 40
Yeah. So if they wanted to, probably could have wrapped it. Yeah, that was just a tough position. Classic had complete vision of the cross.
And he makes the play. We'll see who the playmaker is going to be this round. This time Scraps is just going to catch Chino out, and he's going to kill Classic. Both of them busy chucking nades, and now Huke's going to get picked. And Decimate for the 1v4, he finds one, but that's more than likely all he's going to be able to. I don't think Red Reserve will throw this one away, but we'll see if he can make some magic happen.
That was tough. Like you said, caught in a couple awkward spots for Envy, and also I don't think Scraps or Raided really missed a bullet there. Nice shots from them, both out of the STG. Decimate has time. but such a tough spot. If he found an STG, at least maybe give him a better chance to pick somebody out of a window. He's going to have to do it with the sub. He knows Joe's position now. Nade hits him a bit, tries the peek and challenge, takes the gunfight to the back, but yeah, no real chance in that fight at all.
And it's just scraps. Like the first round on defense for him, he plays in the window, gets some bullets in Chino, kills him with the nade. Well, this time Chino is like, okay, I won't take the gunfight from the window, I'll play it from inside, but then Scraps plays aggressive and not only catches Chino trying to nade him out, but catches Classic throwing a nade. I think he was trying to hit Rated with his nade, but catches 2 players out. You go up 4-2 in a round, you're basically just guaranteeing the win at that point.
Well, I mean, both the rounds they've won, it's been that like early 4v2 advantage, right? Rated had a couple of kills the previous round where he was able to make a play mid-map. Rated 6-2, by the way. Excellent stuff from him. Him and Scraps holding all the first bloods outside of one that Hook was able to pick up. Scraps needed real early in this one. Second one's coming. Somehow still staying alive with the armored class. He's weak, but still up.
I don't know how. That nade must have been pretty far away. You can actually see it's not a sticky Hugh Cat, so maybe it just rolled a little bit farther past the window, but the saving grace right now is that nade not killing him. And then Rated finds the first blood. The bomb's going to get planted. Tough round here for EnVy.
Hook, though, trying to make the play. Does he realize Scraps is tucked away forward? He just wants to stick this. He just wants to stick it. Scraps should be checking it now. Scraps wins the gunfight, should get there in time. The hip fire, though, takes off Scraps' head. He was already weak. And now you have Rated by himself. He's having a hell of a game, 7-2. He knows the position of both players. He just wants to try and fly in and find Hook, but not going to be able to do it. And you said at one point, tough spot for EnVy, but they're able to take the round. What changed?
What changed is essentially they had control of tin. Red Reserve played it, expecting the guy on bomb to be able to get out. And I don't know the timing of the player in the window of not being able to cover his teammate when he tries to run away from bomb, but maybe a small misstep. And then, of course, as soon as they get control of tin, now Red Reserve, they have to fly in to check the bomb. Scraps almost makes the play. Huke reads it perfectly, though. So, yeah, just a perfectly executed 3v4 retake.
Red needs 0 to get involved right now. He's sitting at 0-5. Having a tough game, too. They've got a heavy stack towards the B site right now. 3 players there. 1 player really on kind of mid-water steps. And another first blood for Rated. 8-3, 3 first bloods. And I believe when I took a look at the stats this morning, he was sitting somewhere around like a 20% first blood rate, leading by far for his team, and somewhere in that kind of top 5, top 6 range right now for players in Stage 2.
Gonna be alive just for a second. Actually, just all of the sudden, I don't know what happened, but Classic killed 2 and Rated, the man that got the first blood, now was gonna need to get the ace, and he finds Classic, beams him. Okay. Either way, though, that bomb is still going down. It's still a tough spot, but if he's shooting like that, maybe it could happen.
This is his second chance for an ace. Yeah, Decimate, I would not even take this gunfight. Just lay down. Oh, he's finished. He's finished. Now he's just gonna have to pick up Hook. 1-on-1 for the ace. Rated versus Hook. It's taking a long way around. He does have a loud class. At the same time, Hook is going to hit mid. Hook is silent as well. Now, Rated's going to, how's he going to play this? He's got no idea where he is. Should be dead as soon as Hook checks. There he is. Spots him and finishes it. Nice one-on-one there from Hook. And another, I think, frustrating round for Rated. Like, he's had chance for multiple aces, and his team's kind of, I think you can say his team's let him down. They put him in spots that he necessarily should not be in, but he's always been, like, this close to making the play.
I don't even know how. Like, I genuinely have no, like...
When he ripped the guy off the box, I was like, all right, he's doing this.
Well, not even that. I'm saying how that situation came about. Just like when Classic picked up 2 of the SCG, like, Red Reserve had triple stacked B on defense. It was perfect. And then somehow it just collapses. But, yeah, obviously Rated is definitely beaming right now. He's getting kills that are nearly impossible, but man's gunning.
Chance, I'm
get another first blood. You don't know? We don't.
I tried to take a sip of water. I spilled it all over myself.
Drinking water's tough.
Oh, and we're going to see it when we come back to camera, because it's all over my chest. EnVy, 4-2. Oh, I'm bad at everything. Back to Rated, though. Yeah, can we not leave this man's screen? His team has 7 kills. Rated has 10. He's inching his way forward. He should catch Classic. Nice. God, it's a laser beam right now. Rated continues to not miss a bullet. Decimate, you don't want this one-on-one, because he's going to snap to you. Another player gone. Decimate, you're gone as well! Rated with another chance for an ace at 13-4. Chino just jump off the map. You shouldn't do that. But if you fight Rated, you're going to die.
Well, Chino has sniffed out there's going to be a B. Joe's on bomb. Joe does not need a peek. Zero and Rated could just watch over him.
I thought Rated was going to push immediately. He was like hungry for the kill for a second. I thought he was just flying towards fire. He knows. He's on one right now.
Yes, he is. It was weird. Like, I don't know if you felt the same way, but as soon as you saw him creep around the corner, I was like, no matter what, he's just going to win that gun.
Oh, no, I know doubt. No doubt in my mind both those players are dead. Just a couple times, like, you know when you're feeling it, like when you're playing COD, you just know if you come around a corner and even someone has position on you, you're going to snap perfectly. It's just if you get that little like moment, he's just been like that this entire map.
He like got the headshot on Decimate, and it looked like he like shot him in like the chest or something like that. Like, man's on one right now. I mean, Zero just got his first kill, but Rated. I mean, what can you really do if you got 13? That's insane, actually. 13 kills. What's the record in this game? Like 18?
God, I know like overall I believe it's 20, but in this game I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Or maybe it was 20 in this game as well. Either way, though, we'll keep that in mind. He doesn't get the first blood.
It's darn close to being a first blood, though.
As close as you get, Zero finds his second. But again, like, what can you do when Raid's in the window? Now he's got the teammates coming in for help, and you just know he's going to die. He's going to die. You know he's going to die. If Raid takes the gunfight at this point, he's just going to win.
You know, people talk about cover, and, you know, you'll hear people call them headies or head glitch or, you know, positions of power. They don't look all that powerful against Rated right now. I mean, I know he's got the laser beam and the STG, but this is disgusting.
How many headshots? Because that was one on Classic. He had another one against Decimate the previous round. He had one against Chino for the first blood like 3 rounds ago.
Nobody's safe. Hide your wives.
You got to hide a lot of things from Rated.
Chino's like, oh.
Hide your Chino. He's picked off Chino like 4 or 5 times now as well.
It's still 4-4, though, and he's got 16. Raid's still alive. He didn't finish it. He actually led to the team kill, so that takes one away from him. Would have been 17. But effectively, it was a kill for Rated. The bomb backs up Decimate, puts him into the corner, and Joe able to take the gunfight now 2-on-1. Chino left alone, and Red Reserve taking over this game, too.
It is just a momentum zapper as well. Like, if you're Envy, you've been relying on your hardpoint. You lose the first map, and you're like, man, that's tough. We need to get this S&D to get back into the series and get the 4-2 lead. You're feeling good. And
then we ran to Thor.
Well, not Thor. Does he take any Marvel characters Rated? Like, is he claimed, like Slasher has claimed Thanos? Does he take any? Who do we give him? Do we just give him Thor? I don't want to give him Thor. That doesn't feel right.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
Definitely not Black Panther.
I gotta think about this.
We give him Black Widow.
Oh god, this is all I can think about now. Black Widow's good. Him and ScarJo share a lot.
Oh, Hawkeye, just because he's beaming people.
There we go. Hawkeye. I like that. Wasn't good enough to make the first movie though. Scraps with a nice snipe there. 4v3 advantage for Red Reserve. This might be it. 4-on-2. It's highlighted by a spectacular performance from Rated. And he can't. What?
It's a 1v1 now.
And of course, it's Rated. What the hell just happened there? How did Classic get that 3-piece?
Dude, Classic is pulling some magical crap.
I was ready to call the game. I was like setting it up. And then Classic was like, nah, chill. Classic.
Well, the problem for Classic, I think, in this situation is just that he doesn't have any more nades. And how are you going to win the gunfight against Slasher?
If this is a gunfight, it's 0.
Yeah, let's go.
Wow!
Classic.
I was just about to say, if this is a gunfight, there's no way Rated's losing this. Classic now. All these times where Rated's had these like near aces. Classic's the one that puts the ace on the board with a 1-on-1 gunfight in the goal.
So like, who kills Hawkeye? Like, who is Classic then? Like, if Rated is Hawkeye, who do we give Classic? Or is he just an astronaut? Do we just call him like Neil Armstrong or something like that and let him fly?
I don't know. Didn't he fight with Captain America when Captain America was being like a bit of a jerk?
I have no idea. We got a round 11 though, Maven. Round 11, Chino searching for his 4th, Joe as well, but it's Classic apparently versus Rated. And we see at least a triple stack, maybe a quad over by A. And quite aggressive as well. And yeah, Huke's going to take it to him. Talk about the SMG battle. Huke's going to let him know earlier on, but still, Rated's alive, so it's not easy to close these rounds out.
He needs to pull off one more incredible round here. Scraps is gone. Rated sneaking behind. Shots in the back. There's another one there. Rated for number 19. His teammate takes it, and it's outside. 19-6 for Rated. Was that 4 3-kill rounds that he had? It was something absurd. Rated, an absolute beast. What a game 2. And the shock faces of Envy.
I mean, they're hopeless now. They just got thrashed.
I wanted him to get 20 so bad. Dude, imagine if he had a round 11 ace for the 20 bomb there. He almost had it. The player on bomb got picked. I don't know who took it, but I'd kick him off the team.
Dude, they had no one like. How do you not watch that?
Imagine if he snuck in, got those two, stepped out, beamed the guy off bomb, then snapped back and picked off Decimate. Ace for the 20 bomb. That would have been the craziest thing ever. Not to take anything away from 19 and 6. That's quite good as well, right? Yeah. It was insane. So that was 11 rounds. God, that was awesome.
Very good. I have no idea what the hell EnVy was doing either. Because, like, literally, you can actually see it. We're going to have it for the play of the game of Rated just going off, but he just, like, walks up mid-map, basically. Like, no one, they had the man advantage, and no one for EnVy is like, hey, let's watch this.
I believe a couple times, didn't they have Scraps kind of isolated over here? So maybe once they thought they got the pick on Scraps. No, so did he just get, what timing did he just get? Classic should have saw him.
I don't understand. But again,
it looked like Classic peeked from the back bus. There wasn't a smoke still down, was there? Or anything? I don't think so.
I mean, it doesn't matter. You just have to have someone watch this. Like, why is anyone giving it up at all? Like, Classic turns around, but there's no value. Huke's already watching over the teammate. And like, yes, he's had a monster performance, but those 2 kills are just free. Like, that is EnVy screwing
Joe's off the team. Joe took the 20 kill bomb. But they are, like, I think they're like best friends and lovers, and they've teamed together a lot. So Joe's probably still on the team. But that was awesome. Those are those fun moments, man, where you just want someone to kind of go for like a record and just have, you'll see that. That would be the last time you see that this year, that someone's dropped 19 on a stage like this. That was awesome.
Like the record's 20, right? For LAN in general, and Dashy and Crim6 have both gotten 20.
Dashy's done it, Crim did it.
But not in this game.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Rated to God.
Usually I know this, but I have a bit of a sinus infection, and it makes it hard to think. But for those of you at home, I hope you're having fun. If you missed that map, watch it for the Rated domination. But guys, the CTF up next. Red looking for the sweep. We'll be right back.
Sinus infection?
Red Reserve currently up 2-0, and if you missed the game too, go back and watch it. It was a search and destroy performance so crazy from Rated that it actually made me forget the Classic had it won before towards the end of it. Like the 19-6 and the multiple 3-round kills were so disgusting. You just gotta watch it. That was some of the most impressive accuracy I've seen over the course of a game in quite some time. His shot was on, man.
It was completely absurd, and we did get notified by quite a few people. There have been a handful of 20 bombs. Dashy has one, Shawnee has one, Crim6 has one. So
Dashy has 2 overall, though. I think he had 20 in IW and 20 this year as well. So I thought there might have been one this year. I just could not think of it. But Dashy and Shawnee's I missed. I didn't see that one. He said it was 20 and 2. What the hell?
It might have just been off stream. I have no idea, but that is ridiculous. So there have been a few. Either way, though, impressive stuff nonetheless to get 19. Like, and I know, screw the CTF game for a minute. Can you imagine like that first round where he picks up 2 and chucks the nade like B cut? If he clutches that first 1v4, like holy hell, best S&D performance of all time.
He almost had, I think he had like 4 or 5 opportunities for an ace. Like he was having so many like multi-kill rounds. I feel like every other round I was like, oh, Rated working on an ace. Oh, Rated working on an ace. That was just crazy. But we'll see if Red Reserve can close it out here and continue, I guess, a tough week for Envy and what has turned into a nice rebound from Red Reserve after their first loss.
Well, Red Reserve does find themselves pinning their base, so the opportunity is here for Envy to make a play, but you can see Chino, he's just waiting for someone Red Reserve just to make a mistake, just to overcommit and get the pick, and there it happens. Chino was able to get through as well. It's taking his time, so he's going to have another 1v1, and maybe just a little bit too slow. Zero is able to wrap back and get the kill. Huke, though, applying pressure, and this is something we've seen Huke do a lot on Flak Tower, where he just stays alive for so long that the comms of the other team is basically saying, where's Huke? Is he mid-map? Is he over here? And it's incredibly frustrating to deal with, but they do take him down. So no mysterious stuff yet.
Nothing yet, but we'll see what Classic. I need to see that 1v4 from his POV somehow, or ask him how it went down, because there are very few times where I'm ready to call a game and something like that happens. That was remind me after this.
Well, I mean, it was a double kill with a nade, and then he killed with it. So
well, I think
threw a nade here. And
I think it was double with a nade, and he got a third kill at the same time, then clutched a 1v1, but it just it all happened so quickly. It was kind of nuts to see it go down, but no one able to get anything on the board thus far. Red finally able to kind of make their first push across the map, as it's been early control from Team EnVyUs. Classic hunting for players. He's got 1 on outskirts and 1 just below him. Oh, I thought he was below him. He's actually right next to him.
Well, there's also 1 below him. He's hunting for that kill as well. He's not going to be able to find it. Zero's able to stay alive. Should get cleaned up, though. Decimate's able to find that one, and that's the value of staying alive. Like, if Zero is able to stay alive for a little bit longer, Envy's going to be trapped in their base because they have to deal with him. And that's kind of what I was talking about, what Huke does so effectively. But because he just dies, they get wiped. Envy's now able to resurge, push into their base, and then as they do that, they get completely wiped, and we'll just go back and forth. We'll have a push and pull kind of game.
Well, sometimes, you know, we kind of talked about this, Joe and I, yesterday at Arden Forest, but it's almost like it can be a bit of a game of tug-of-war until sometimes it's one big play by an individual that can shift things. Like Aqua had a crazy 3-piece, almost 4-piece on Arden Forest, and it literally shifted the tides of how that map went for the next 2 to 3 minutes. Like, one big play can turn everything on its head. But as we sit here now, Scraps is the only player really looking for an opening on the other end of the map. The rest of his teammates now coming off the spawn. You see the flood of the boys in blue starting to stream across the map here. Unfortunately for them, the 4-man attack ends pretty quickly as Classic drops. But they still got 3 players here. Decimate, gone. Hook, the next man up. Nice shots from him. Finds a second. Tries to get the touch, but not able to do it. Chino then last man up. Nice shots from Chino as he gets both kills and 1 at range where he obliterates Joe, and now he's out. You have Scraps on the opposite side. He's going to take a 1-on-1. Scraps wins that and kind of keeps the hopes alive for a moment. But he wrapped back mid for a second. It looks like they're just going to give him the score. I thought he might try to, I don't know, make a heroic play, but as it stands, Chino and Envy get on the board, and they're nice on it. Chino's beaming with this PPSH right now.
Making some plays on a 5 streak, has a glide bomb, trying to work towards some more. Joe, though, is able to find 2. Chino's got to go for the trade, cleans them up, and just like that, you got the 1-0 flag lead. You got fully streaked out, and Envy, they're looking good to try and bounce back in this series, right? It's going to be a very long and difficult road ahead of them, but you got to start making rounds here, and they're able to, again, having a bit of an opening. There's 1 player right now for Red Reserve that's kind of pushed behind enemy lines, but complete control so far from Envy in this situation. Classic's on the hunt. And, it seems like they're kind of happy. Maybe to just go into the second half, take the streaks, take the 1-0 lead.
See if Chino can maybe do any more damage. Probably not with just the time on the clock right now, the positioning on the map, but he had a couple just crucial one-on-one gunfights on offense and defense that allowed them to get that score on the board, allowed them to get those full streaks. For now, it looks like Chino's going to go into the half 11-5 on a 6 streak. And Envy in control.
Well, what we just saw there from Envy, those final like 30, 35 seconds, is they completely turtled up in their own base, playing super defensive. Something they've done before in the past, and I think it was literally just last week, is when they had a lead on Flak Tower, they actually pulled out 2 ARs. I think Classic had one out, and then Chino made the switch as well. So I'm curious if they're going to do the same thing, or even if just Chino makes the switch, because you have an AR, much more controlling. Like, you're not going to be able to fly and make any crazy caps, nothing like that. But if you want to play a slow defensive game with the lead, you can go for it, and we'll see again, maybe if they make that switch. You see Rated actually has the STG out, but again, just something to keep in the back of your mind.
With the way Chino was shooting with that PPSH, I'd keep doing just that, but you're right. It'll be interesting to see if they maybe try to slow the pace down a little bit. Classic does have an AR out.
And Chino has one as well. Let's go, Maven.
Hey, you see that off the opening rip all the time. You think he's going to keep that throughout the course, the half?
That's actually a good question. I think the only time I've seen him do it, it was only for like a minute and a half. And
more
importantly, Joe's already got the flag and he's run away with it. And now you're like, hey, I have an AR. There's no way I'm catching up. And the glide bomb comes in, but I don't even think you have enough time to call in the second streak because of how fast Joe's going to be. So just like that, you try to play defensive, you turtle up, and it's going to cost you. Now you're actually having relay caps because Rated picks up 2. Now you might have to enforce streaks, and all of a sudden, so fast, less than a minute, and Red Reserve is going to have that 2-1 flag cap lead.
Well, this is how you get 3-0'd.
He's going to get it anyway. It's not going to...
okay.
Maybe.
All right. Somebody's got to come off spawn. Who's going to be next up? Zero? No, Zero just dropped. So Joe. Joe's going to get up. He's going to try and go for it. Run, Joe! Run, Joe! Run, Joe! There's the score. 2-1 Red Reserve as he's able to take it through the artillery. 2 streaks out from Envy, but maybe a counter cap opportunity. That opportunity punched in the ribs pretty quickly. That'll get stopped, and Red Reserve now can play with the lead.
That really is insane, though. Just, again, to talk about, like, hey, they're going to do this strat where they try and turtle up, but the issue for turtling is you can just let it spiral out of control. Chino, though, back to the PPSH, back to where they saw success early on, but he's going to be tagged up in the base, and you expect he's just going to get cleaned up, and now Decimate's going on the hunt. But either way, Red Reserve, they make the necessary defensive stand after capturing a flag through an artillery.
They get it in. And now we'll see what they can do with the lead. Decimate, though, still kind of being a pain on this side of the map. You see Zero just preaiming him outside. He goes to push forward, and Decimate, guess what? Still here. That's going to be 4 down. That's going to be a flag touch. The only one up that can make a play is going to be Joe. He actually spawns deep, though. They're not ready for it. Joe's making the play. He finds 2 and the grenade kill, but it gives enough time for his entire team to spawn. What a play from Joe to slow this down and ultimately lead to the return for Rated.
And I think Joe might have actually had Mountain on as well, so when he spawns up, he doesn't get called out. I know he's armored now, but I think we saw it when the fighter pilot was coming in. The red thing didn't pop up over him. Might have just been spawn protection. I have no idea, but again, gets the spawn, makes the play, and those clutch plays can win you games. But
I'll have to see it again, or if he spawned like right after it. I'm not entirely sure, but he makes the play regardless, and that's a painful one for Envy. So you've now... Well, you invested 2 streaks to stop a score. Didn't work out for you. But Classic has got it. And there's going to be the tying score. So despite the fact that you've had a couple things go array, I guess you could say, for the Envy side behind those streaks, they are able to tie it up with 2 minutes remaining. So a little bit of resilience now from the Envy side.
These games have just been ridiculous so far from these 2 teams. But again, as you said, 2 minutes left. Plenty of time for just some sort of pure insanity to happen. That's going to be 2 down for Red Reserve. Classic, though, on the defensive stand, at least getting that kill is going to slow Red Reserve in their tracks. But obviously the advantage is towards them.
Nice headshot from Zero. Picks the second out of the window. Pressure slowly mounting now from Red Reserve. Rated trying to play his life. He tries to actually re-challenge, but Chino gets the better of him. Joe, though. Joe's in the backside. Do they know he got through?
They do.
Looks, yeah, absolutely. Based on their movement, they spotted him in the back. Once again, Scraps kind of on this ISO by himself as his teammates drop. And not able to get anything done there. This looks like it could be an OT game unless Envy can do something here.
Yeah, and Chino just went and tried to make the hero play. He was by himself, and he kind of just ran into 3 different players, maybe trying to catch him off guard or something, but it's a situation where, like, you just got to stay alive, and I know it's a small detail, but they do matter, because now Envy A little bit less of an opportunity. They get 2 down, though. Now they can surge forward, and they have everything covered. They got 2 players that are going to be pushing through mid, one the left side, and the player rounding up the back is Decimate that might just end up pushing outskirts. So all about these gunfights right here. Scraps open it up. He's going to be able to find 1, make it 2. Zero cleans it up.
Overextension. Joe's going. Joe's going. Everybody coming off spawn for EnVy. Let's pay attention. Hook just spawned. Hook spawned deep, though. He might be able to pick him up. Joe, can he get in? Joe hits the cross. Hook's still chasing, but he's got a bit of help. Classic actually gets the angle. They haven't been able to return it yet, though. A team kill comes in, is raided unintentionally. Headshot Scraps. And what looked like some, I guess, last-second heroics coming out of Red Reserve just falls apart. It looked good for a moment.
Well, EnVy are going to have to get just a clean wipe, but I think they might have played it a little bit too slow because they're going to have to get the kills and the touch, but they have the opportunity to do so. Classic has a player in front. That's actually going to be 3 down, 1 player left. Now they got to win it.
Ooh.
The flag's already out. He's going to pick it up, and he is going to be gone, and that just might be your game unless there's streaks for Red Reserve. But Scraps, he's just going for the run. 2 and 3, they're moving. They don't have anything, and all of a sudden, that's just going to be your game. EnVy makes the clutch at the end. They had 8 seconds to work with, but they pull it off, and by God, if we don't have a good series on our hands, maybe.
Classic had some, you know, amazing moments late in the search and destroy. He does it here, too, with some excellent shots as he's able to make the clutch. And think about that. I mean, you're up 1-0 in the half for EnVy. You have full streaks, and then you kind of get punched in the mouth to start the second half, right? Yeah. Red Reserve scores twice. You're like, oh, things are spiraling out of control. There's a couple of sloppy sequences where EnVy maybe had a chance to score, use the streaks. It didn't really work out effectively. And then suddenly, though, in the clutch moments, EnVy is able to get it done and keep this series alive. It felt like a 3-0 after the opening of that second half, but EnVy wanted no part of it.
This is absurd. I don't know if this is like sloppiness or just like as good as it gets sort of thing. It's tough to tell because like
I'm loving it.
The 1v4 raid it had, that's sloppy from EnVy for just not watching like the mid cup. But there's a lot of rounds where it's like they're not doing anything wrong. They're just making plays. Like if you get double naded, you're probably just tagged up. So Classic winning 1v4s, he just makes the play. Like Raiden when he's beaming people off of random head glitches, he's just making the play. So like this is good Call of Duty, I think.
One question for you. We saw Scraps, you know, obviously he's not going to drop bombs every single game, but not a guy that typically goes double negative. He was double negative towards the end of that game, didn't have the best CTF. Did you see anything going wrong for him in particular?
I mean, again, I think there was like maybe a few small missteps, but even then, I think I saw more from EnVy more than anything. I think it literally just came down to the gunfights. Like, I don't know if his positioning was a little bit off. He was getting team shot. Like, it's almost impossible to evaluate. We'd have to go back and rewatch, but nothing egregious. I don't think from either. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think they're playing wrong necessarily. It's just the gunfights.
Just good Call of Duty.
It just is.
Call of Duty. Red.
It's
EnVy.
nice.
We'll head to another hardpoint. Now, this is big because when you're a team like EnVy that relies on hardpoints typically to win series, you have to focus on the hardpoints in this. They already dropped the first one on Valk. Now we're going to be going to the game 4 hardpoint.
Same.
I believe, and the St. Marie, I would imagine, would be Red's pick because they love to play St. Marie typically. We talk about them and EG being one of the top teams, which is surprising considering that EnVy played on Valk because we know Red's great on Valk.
I was going to say, I think St. Marie is still EnVy. Like, EnVy, I think, might have been undefeated on this map back in Seattle. Maybe, like, you know, something to that effect. But
whenever I think St. Marie Hardpoint, I think EG and Red. That's the two that popped in my head.
Well, I was going to say, but it's still a very good map for Red Reserve. And even if EnVy has been, like, near perfect at Seattle, and again, I'm not sure if that's true. Someone please double-check me just to be positive. But they did lose this, like, yesterday.
So Red did pick St. Marie. Okay, that makes sense because that has been one of their go-tos. Which maybe makes then the Valk pick for EnVy a little bit more interesting.
I was about to say, then why would you do that?
Yeah.
Like you just watched like Red Reserve smoke a team on Valkyrie. So we can talk to whoever's making these pick and ban decisions for EnVy, but it's Red Reserve's pick. Yeah, again, the hardpoint maps are good for them. They're not terrible for EnVy, but they have looked shaky on the
But that is scary, though, when you think about the fact that, again, EnVy relies on winning hardpoints, and you're playing 2 of the better ones for Red. And Red is already a team that we know can beat any EnVy on any given day. When you give them 2 hardpoints they're comfortable on, this might be where it ends, but we'll see. Is there a matchup that you're really looking forward to?
I think it just has to be rated in Chino. Like, again, the only time I've seen where EnVy doesn't have success on this map is just when Chino starts off really, really slow. So I think if Rated continues to play like he does and Chino doesn't step it up to match it, it's going to be bad news. And another thing to think about, you see Classic starts out with an AR as well. EG did this against Red Reserve. They pulled out the 2 AR strat on this map. So we'll pay if that pays long-term dividends. But,
well, that is actually where Scraps and Aches went back and forth a little bit last night. Like, talking about the 2 bars and how frustrating it was to deal with. And Pat said, you know, we've been doing our homework, probably with the to Coach Bevels, that was a good way to counter you guys. So if Scraps heard that last night, you got to think they would have talked it over to deal with this, but we'll have to wait and see.
Well, even still dealing with it or not, you just had about as perfect of an opening break as you could possibly get for Red Reserve. I mean, it looks like Envy, they're going to give up on this scrap time, so whatever 18 plus 40 is, they're going to get nearly a full 60 on the Restaurant Hill. And I think the only time that they didn't get is just because the hill spawns up and you have to run to it at the start of the game. So, like, it's perfect. It's just perfect.
And you got two players here that were able to kind of get behind enemy lines a bit. You have Scraps with Joe, set up in his position to make a play. They're going to be holding kind of the front side and hardpoint. And then from Ambo, Envy's going to make a break. And look at Rated. Rated, you know, he's been beaming through the course of the series, but he's already 6-0, maybe picking up streaks. Another gunfight win for him. Rated trying to clean it up. Full streaks. Envy not with a point. The race is on from either side, but God, this could not be better from Red.
And Rated versus Chino, man. Like, Rated stunned in Hill, can't see anything, and he's still winning gunfights, but he's 9-1, Chino 1-6, and
those are a bit different.
It's huge. Yeah, no, those are radically different. And like, Red Reserve has blown 100-point leads before. Like, we saw that yesterday. We almost saw that on map number 1. So the writing's not on the wall here for Envy, but I'll be damned if that just doesn't look horrible, because they're about to lose the rotation. Yeah, okay, no, the writing's on the wall. They're losing the 2-3 rotation as well. This is as bad as it could possibly get.
If this were a golf score, Envy would be doing well.
Oh, they're killing it.
Unfortunately, it is not golf. Envy are in trouble right now. 100-0. Thankfully for Envy.
Artillery.
They've got the next hard point. Unfortunately for Envy, bombs are about to rain from the sky.
I was about to say, what's he waiting for? Just hurry up and go.
Or bullets.
Hey, get some bullets on deck, and then you got 1, you got 2, but Hugh picks up 2 as well, and yeah, I think the artillery is probably the way to go. Just force Envy out, then you can clean them up with the fighter pilot right after it, but either way, Red Reserve take full advantage. They're inside the hill. 2 players sneak through, but if they win the one-on-one gunfights, which Scraps cleans up the final player, now the artillery might keep them out, and Scraps is beaming, as the kids say.
Some nice communication there. I think he just stuck a player as well, but Zero got the kill with the bullets before that. Trying to hold him at the backside with the artillery. That's going to be up now. And we'll see what Zero can do inside. He's going to have to deal with Hook. He's coming in, but Rated turns just in time. The kill feed is Red, and the scrap time going to Scraps in Red Reserve.
Like, I think those streak usage was fine, but I think it could have been a lot better, and it really just doesn't matter in the slightest. Like, even if they didn't have streaks there, it just seems like they were going to be able to break through. Like, Rated has barely slowed down, or I guess technically he's slowed down, but he's still got 13 kills. Like, Hugh is trying, but again, just another 100-point deficit Envy finds themselves in. They just, you can't do this, not at this level.
Scraps ultimately going to drop, but we get right back to Rated. Who's 13-6 in this. He has been a nightmare for Envy to deal with. I know it's a team game, but when you have one player, especially in a role as important as AR, that is not missing, continues to win every one-on-one gunfight, it is not, it just can't be fun. It's got to be so frustrating to deal with, especially, well, whether you're Chino trying to take that gunfight at range, or you're the subs trying to, I mean, you've got no chance typically if you're a sub trying to run at him on cover. Wow, but despite the fact that Red Reserve starts out so hot, Envy is finally starting to breathe a little bit of life into this game, and well, slowly but surely it's starting to reflect the game 1, to be honest.
Well, as far as perfect setups on the Restaurant Hill go, this is about as good as you get. All 4 players stacked up inside and or around, but Decimate's still able to get through, so the players up top are going to let him down, but at the same time, yeah, Decimate's going to get traded, so despite the magic he's tried to work with, it's still a very solid spot for Red Reserve. Keep in mind, they got 55 seconds on this hill to open up the game, and they still won the rotation over towards the second hill, so Envy, they got to fix literally everything at this point. Like, Classic is double negative, and he's still doing twice as good as Chino.
Red is dominating inside of Red. They are in complete control of this hard point. Joe just roaming up top. Scraps holding the front. And Envy, it's almost like they're showing up to a restaurant without their shoes in. They're getting stopped at the door, Chance.
Okay, it was clearly not in California, so yeah, we'll go with that. And you talk about
that was so bad.
It was horrible.
It was so bad.
Maybe not, whatever. But
it wasn't Rich bad, but it was bad.
God, I hate Rich. All right, either way, though, Restaurant Hill, once again, goes completely and entirely the way of Red Reserve, and still, they managed to win the rotation over to Wine Early Lot. They're going to have even more streak at their disposal. We talked about how great of a start Rated had. By the way, Joe has full streak. He's got 15 kills. Scraps, you said a slow game on the CTF. Well, he's the most engaged person on this entire map, I think. Maybe not, but either way, he's got a lot of time in the hill. got a lot of hills. This is awful. This game, man. Game, set, match.
There's a reason you don't want to play red here. It's crazy. I think EG beat him here yesterday. But we know EG has been looking so solid in Hardpoint. But Envy, a team that we have talked about their incredible performances in Hardpoint since they formed, I believe will now drop 4 straight Hardpoints to start off week 2.
And they lost to Game 5 as well. Like, this could have been a huge series for Envy, theoretically, if they end up losing both Hardpoints, but then go and win, like, the Game 5, because that would be a nice change of pace. But now, unfortunately, Huke is trying his heart out. He has the most kills in the lobby, which is insane.
Chino's got 5 in, like, 8 minutes played.
Yeah, so 5 kills is good if it's, like, the first hill. That would be a very good opening break to get 5.
Rated started 6-0.
Yeah.
So Rated
started 9-0.
No, I mean, like, in that opening, like, Hardpoint, that sequence when he got streaks. So Rated in the opening, about 45 seconds of the game, had more kills than Chino does now.
It might finish like
that. And remember the matchup you were looking forward to? I think it's safe to say Rated won it. It was more like a David versus Goliath type thing. he won it in a big way.
I don't know what the issue is either for Envy as well. Like, I don't like it's Chino. I think is the main guy to look at. But
remember when TK started to struggle a little bit with the first team, obviously. Some fingers got pointed at Chino that he was being a little bit inconsistent. I hope that's Chino. Love him, great player, but I hope those inconsistencies are starting to like rear their ugly head again. But 6-22, something's off.
Yeah, it's absurd. I genuinely don't understand. I mean, maybe this is just one of those games where Rated just kind of takes over at the start, and then Joe picks up the slack in thereafter. Like, maybe it's just deflation from Envy. Whatever it is, it's an incredible performance in game from Red Reserve. So what was the question we asked, like, before map 3, whatever? Are they a top 5 team in the world? If they're playing like this, yes.
The 100-point club. It's here. Welcome to it, Envy. Oh, no! Oh, the grenade comes in! I just lied to all the viewers! No, I didn't! 250 to 99. Red Reserve take the game 4 and continue to look like a top team in Division A and a top team in the world. For Envy, I think I can say with confidence there is a big question mark over this team. What we saw from week 1 and what we're seeing in week 2, I have no idea where to place them.
Again, I just don't understand it. Like, I don't know if it's like the players around Chino, if they're just not getting him to good positions with the AR, if he's just like missing shots. I don't know what it is, but that's about as bad of a performance as you're going to see from that man. But talk about the positive, man. Again, Red Reserve at their best, you got to imagine, are a terrifying force. They got, what, their best placing is top 2, and you get Scraps as your replacement, and Scraps very well might be the best player in Europe. So you got to have high expectations for the team if you're a European fan. Root for them, and Splices look better as well. So towards the top, things are looking up. You know,
Zero's kind of playing more of a Joe role. He's kind of flying around. We know how consistent Scraps has been in the Slane department. When you get that give and take for that AR to SMG role on a map like that between Joe and Rated, what they were putting up, Red's going to be very hard to beat, I think, by anyone. Like they look so good, and I think you see glimpses of why these guys have teamed together so frequently and found success in the past. That was a marvelous performance in Red, and I know that I'm excited to see him play more.
There's so many players now that I want to watch who like are the guys who like take the, I can't say the right word for this. We all know what it is, that take the objective role. We'll go with that and see how much they can thrive when like they need to start playing for kills, because Joe's been a monster.
It was a topic on Hot Mic, and Looney has basically said we can all do it.
Yeah,
it's a role we're in. But interestingly enough, though, not interesting at all, because it's very obvious. The man we're going to interview with the PlayStation Instant Reaction is Rated. He was beaming. He was a beast. We got him with Jess.
Thanks, Maven. Yes, you absolutely played phenomenally well during Game 2. So what was the key to your performance there?
I don't know. It happens sometimes on S&D where everything you're doing is just working, and every play I made was just the right play at the perfect time. It was just one of them maps.
All right. And then after that, you went on to, of course, unfortunately lose that CTF. What was the general mood or energy of the team after that loss?
It was fine. Our mood's always good since we've gone that. There's something wrong with the guy. He's too happy. But it was our fault, like our communication. That's the only thing that we're really messing up on, like with a little small talk, like when someone's pushing, when someone needs help. It's just little mistakes.
All right. And finally, you are sitting back at your first place in the standings. What must you do in order to maintain that first place ranking?
I think we're the best team in this division. I think yesterday's loss we bottled both hard points. We could have easily won that series 3-1, and we were up late last night speaking about why we went wrong, and that's why our hard point today we didn't lose one. So just cutting out the little mistakes in our game, which are going to happen with a new team, so I think we'll be fine.
All right, sounds like a great plan. Thank you so much for the interview. This has been your PlayStation Instant Reaction, and we'll be right back after this quick break. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Call of Duty World League presented by the PlayStation 4. We're over halfway through Day 2, Week 2 here at Stage 2 for Division A gameplay. And obviously we just watched Red Reserve come away with another win. Obviously I know you guys have been all challenging against each other in terms of predictions. So Phil, as you're currently 3-0 on the day, I'll start with you. You had faith in Red Reserve and the boys didn't let you down with that win. It was an impressive one as well.
It was. I will say for the remaining of Stage 2, I've been pretty poor on predictions. So today's my good day, I will say.
Well, it's about time you had a good day.
But yeah, I thought Red Reserve coming into this, it was a big day for them. They set that target of going 7-0 by the end of it. They lost, obviously, a difficult one yesterday, but they came back, they bounced back, and picking up 2 wins today just sets the standards so high. And as well, following up, we've got Splice coming up next. Again, it kind of puts the pressure on them a little bit too.
Most definitely does. I mean, here's how the series went. 3-1 dispatch of Envy, but by no means was it, you know, extremely convincing or dominating, apart from, well, to be honest, the last map that we saw, 250 to 99. Welcome to the 100-point club team. EnVyUs, really no one shooting straight. But one thing, Nimbus, I want to get your opinion on. We've been talking about this a lot. Obviously, every time the name Scraps is kind of mentioned so far here at the stage, best player in Europe. Oh, is he the best player in Europe? Could be the best player in Europe. Feel like we should maybe throw Raided's name in that hat as well, because he has been just shooting rockets.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Raided on that series. He looked incredible. He had one of the best search and short performances I've ever seen in my entire life. I've been playing Call of Duty for 12 years. Yeah, this guy just went 19-6 in the Pro League against a team like EnVyUs. Look at and Scraps, he's on our screen now. I mean, Scraps is playing phenomenal as well. All around team effort. We saw Raided and Joe going off on that last game there in the Hardpoint. So much love out to Raided right there, just going off and having one of the best performances I've ever seen. I
mean, it's crazy, right? Because we talked about Red Reserve in the past, and it was always, you know, Raided, very consistent player, very consistent player. Seems like now he really does have all the right pieces around him to have such a successful team.
I think that's the key as well, because we're talking about the best players in Europe. Yes, we've mentioned Scraps. Yes, we've mentioned Rated. And talking a little bit more about Rated, it's just the consistency. I think that's the thing at such a high level. It's hard to be so consistent, but he's starting to really kind of find his groove. I think the addition of Scraps is helping him. But the player next to him, Joe, I feel like you could just toss his name in as well. I feel like we had the privilege, Ben, of casting Game 1 today, which was Red Reserve, and he played some of his best COD that I've seen him play in a very long time. So having Scraps come on board as a raw beast kind of that he is, Rated so comfortable. Joe's obviously playing very well. Yes, Zero, and admittedly himself is saying he's not playing the best right now, but they're sitting top of the leaderboard, 5-1. If Zero does pick it up, what happens then? You know, is that where they can win a major?
So yeah, and speaking of winning a major, one thing that all championship teams have in common is you have 4 people who are confident in each other, and each of those individual players are able to go off at any given moment, right? So one player slacks, the other one picks it up. You see a different combination of players going off in each map, and that is how you win a championship. So if Zero starts playing a little bit better, they're a championship caliber team. And that is a trend that you'll see in the history of Call of Duty. Teams like that, they tend to be at the top.
And when did Zero kind of heat up then? You know, map 4, like he starts to, you know, go positive by 2 or 3 and everyone else is positive. They're just destroying. And when you start putting teams like EnVyUs in the 100-point club, that's when you start to look at each other and go, yeah, we can win majors. We can really be that team. And this division as well is so stacked. To even be in the top 4 and make playoffs, it is fantastic. To be top in that, incredible.
Right. Obviously, you mentioned the 100-point club there against Team EnVyUs, and that was a bloodbath, to be honest, Amos. Yeah. It was kind of men against boys, if you will. What went wrong for Envy, in your opinion?
The rotations were sloppy. They were not slaying enough. We saw Chino about 5-21. Hook was doing his best to keep them in the game, but it ultimately wasn't enough. It was like a snowball effect for Red Reserve. They just got every rotation. They broke quickly. They held correctly. They just played perfect Call of Duty, and it's St. Marie, a map you don't play red on unless you're EG.
Yeah, very true, very true. I'm sure the boys over at Red Reserve are going to be thrilled with their 2-0 day today, as we saw it puts them top of the standings. But still to come, FaZe Clan versus Splice, and to close out day 2, TK versus Team EnVyUs. Phil, we saw the standings at the start of the day when we opened, and 2 fantastic games to close. Of course, I do want to talk about the FaZe versus Splice matchup. Can Splice take this one away from FaZe, in your opinion?
Yeah, I went with Splice. This is the one which I struggled with most on predictions today. This was the one where I was like, Splice, actually no FaZe, and I was so back and forth, but I have gone with Splice. I think kind of the ending of yesterday and kind of the way that they're constantly improving will show here, and I think mainly in the respawns. The interesting one I want to touch on, obviously, TK and Envy. Going into that one, I was leading towards TK. After that performance, I'm TK all day right now.
Feeling confident. You picked TK, right?
Yeah, I've gone with Splice and TK to end the day. I'm hoping for my first 5-5. It's not happened this Pro League, so...
I don't think it's going to happen. I know you made some risks in your predictions today, but who do you have for the last 2 games?
I'm going to go with FaZe for this match. I mean, I think it's sort of an even game. You know, FaZe and Splice right now, they're both kind of inconsistent. The last 2 games we saw out of FaZe, they look phenomenal. So if FaZe can continue that trend, I think that this will be a really good match. I would have given the edge to Splice had FaZe not turned up like they did yesterday. Okay. But I think it's going to be a really back and forth game. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Game 5.
Is there any specific maps that you're looking to either be kind of banned out from either team, or a map that you think could potentially be the swing map?
I don't know. See, I would say London Docks for FaZe, but they haven't looked as good on it as of late. I think people just kind of watch them a lot and figured out what they do.
Okay.
But I would like to see Splice play some AR maps against FaZe. You know, Priesta hasn't been having the best of tournaments so far, or leagues, and he's usually a player with an AR who's been going off. So if they can get some AR maps, I think Mad Cat can pick this team apart. But looking at the list here, we see Arden Forest, and that could be a good map for Splice.
For me, I'm looking at map number 2, and it was before the maps even came up. I've seen Splice just be, you know, they've won some S&Ds, they've lost some, but I've seen some very poor rounds in S&D from Splice over the past week and couple of days as well, where they've lost 1v2s that they shouldn't. They've lost kind of 2v3s that they shouldn't. Fundamentals, I think they've just kind of slipped up quite a few times. Okay. I want them to iron those out, and maybe that is just kind of miscommunication. We saw, I think, yesterday a 1v2 with Josh, and I believe Bance, I could be wrong, and it was single file at a 1v2, and it was like, what are you doing? I remember thinking that is probably the stupidest play that could have gone down in that situation. Right. Again, I'm hoping it's miscommunication. I'm sure they'll iron out those little kinks.
I mean, you go back to week 1, and it was basically Jerd acting as a get-out-of-jail-free card for Splice, right? 1v2s, 1v3s galore. You're never really going to be able to consistently pull those plays off. So, to your point, Phil, you hope that Splice have fixed their issues in Search and Destroy. But as we said, up next, it's going to be a thriller